February in Manhattan. The rain is always cold and sticky, like a layer of wet plastic wrap. You can't peel off your skin. I was sitting by the window at Le Caucou. The consommé in front of me had gone cold. I checked my Cartier watch. 8:15 p.m. Julian was 45 minutes late. The air smelled like wet wool and expensive cologne, mixed with the faint metallic scent of the subway. My phone screen lit up. It wasn't Julian. It was my special follow on Instagram. That intern named Ricky. The photo showed Ricky holding a massive king crab leg, laughing like he owned the world. The background was the leather interior of Julian's Porsche 911. The caption read, "Some people make the money, I just help spend it. #thanks boss #late night snack." I wasn't angry. I just found it loud. It felt like listening to a cello solo at Carnegie Hall. And someone next to you starts crunching on cheap Doritos. When Julian finally arrived, he smelled like sickly sweet vanilla. That cheap car air freshener Ricky uses. It smelled like a gas station convenience store, completely overpowering Julian's usual Tom Ford oud would. "Sorry, Ev." Julian unbuttoned his suit jacket. His movements were still elegant, but the sweat on his forehead gave him away. The client wanted last-minute changes. And that new intern Ricky. He's so clumsy, spilled coffee everywhere. I had to clean it up. He was lying. I looked at his fingers adjusting his cuffs. The wedding ring on his ring finger was gone, replaced by a pale tan line, like a scar left after something was peeled away. "It's fine." My voice was light, like silk sliding over cold marble. "Let's order." Julian signaled the waiter, speaking with that practiced confidence. "2 beef Wellingtons please. And for hers skip the mushroom duxelles. Swap it for the black peppercorn sauce." The air froze for a second. The waiter hesitated, pen hovering. I lowered my eyes, fingers tracing the cold handle of my steak knife. 7 years of marriage. And Julian seemed to have forgotten that the person who is severely allergic to black pepper, the one whose throat closes up if she eats it, isn't me. It's Ricky, the boy eating takeout in his passenger seat, the one posting stories on Instagram. He loves peppercorn sauce. I didn't correct him. I just took a sip of my ice water. It slid down my throat, cold as a swallowed stone. "Julian," I said calmly, like I was discussing the weather forecast. "You should go to the Met Gala solo next week." Julian paused mid-slice, a flicker of panic in his eyes, quickly covered by his businessman charm. "Why, you love the Met Gala. I pulled strings to get us that table." "I'm not going." I looked out at the rain-distorted neon lights of Soho. "I'm tired. And besides, I really hate the smell of black pepper. It chokes me." Julian smiled. That condescending smile men give when they think you're being cute. "Don't be silly, babe. It's your favorite. You see, when a man doesn't love you anymore, your preferences, your allergies, even your very existence, get overridden by the new image in his head. This isn't just betrayal. This is a system update. I didn't leave by throwing a tantrum or packing bags in a dramatic rage. I left like I was playing Jenga, pulling out the bottom blocks one by one. Quietly. I took all the vintage vinyl records. The ones he used to show off his taste. I took the rare architectural first editions from the study. The ones he quoted in every keynote speech to sound deep. Most importantly, I took the external hard drive. The one with 2,000 private contacts. The old money families in the Hamptons. The editors at Vogue and AD. The artists who only signed with him because of my name. They were the foundation of Julian's reputation. The reason people called him a visionary. Julian had no clue. He was too busy partying with Ricky at Coachella. Ricky was wearing Julian's vintage shirt, screaming in the desert heat. Julian thought this was living. He thought this was fresh. Until 2 months later. Mr. Julian, the CEO of Bluestone Capital, refused our meeting. His secretary's voice was shaking. Why, we played golf last month. Julian frowned, loosening his tie aggressively. He said he has nothing to discuss with you. He only took the meeting out of respect for Evelyn. She's the one with the eye, not you. Julian froze. For the next 2 weeks, bad news fell like dominoes. The gallery opening was cancelled. The artist said, "If Evelyn isn't curating, I'm not showing." The Series B funding was put on hold. Because the investors only trusted my due diligence. Julian's world started to crack. He tried to vent to Ricky. But Ricky only cared about the new Balenciaga drop. Or whined. Who cares about some old CEO? Let's go skiing in Aspen. Julian looked at Ricky's face. Full of collagen but empty of substance. And suddenly felt nauseous. That sweet vanilla scent. Once the smell of youth. Now just smelled like cheap chemicals. Giving him a splitting headache. He started calling me frantically. But this time, there was no soft hello. Just the cold disconnect tone. The night the nor'easter storm hit New York. The wind was howling through the skyscrapers. Julian finally found me. In a converted warehouse gallery in Dumbo. I was wearing an oversized white shirt. Barefoot on a ladder. Adjusting a spotlight. He was soaked to the bone. Looking like a stray dog. His $5,000 suit ruined by the rain. Ev. He choked out. Ricky moved out. The project. I can't do it without you. Come back. We're adults, stop playing games. I finally turned around. Looking down at him from the ladder. My eyes didn't hold hate. Or even anger. I looked at him the way you look at a wet sidewalk. Julian. My voice echoed in the empty gallery. Do you think I left because I was jealous? Julian blinked. Aren't you? I laughed. I climbed down the ladder. Walking across the cold concrete floor. Until I was right in front of him. I didn't smell like perfume. I smelled like turpentine and old paper. The smell of a creator. I left. Because I smelled something rotting on you. I fixed his crooked tie. Gentle as a mortician preparing a body. You thought you fell in love with youth. No. You were just terrified of getting old. You thought you were the master of this empire. No. You were just the most disappointing exhibit in my collection. And now, I'm closing the show. And one more thing. I leaned into his ear. I never liked beef Wellington. That was your ex-girlfriend's favorite dish. 7 years, Julian. And you never got it right. Thunder cracked outside. Julian's face went pale. Like a bleached piece of old newsprint. There was no dramatic car crash. No karma-induced terminal illness. Reality is quieter than fiction. And much crueler. Julian's company ran out of cash. And was acquired for pennies by a foreign firm. At the signing ceremony, the representative for the buyers was me. I wore a sharp black trench coat, holding the Mont Blanc pen. The one he gave me as a wedding gift 7 years ago. Julian sat opposite me, watching as I signed my name on the contract, taking ownership of everything he built. In that moment, he finally realized. For 7 years, the one steering the ship wasn't him standing at the bow. It was the woman silently reading the charts in the back. Pleasure doing business, Julian. I closed the folder. It made a crisp snap sound. The most beautiful sound he'd ever heard. And the cruelest. 6 months later, someone saw Julian at a dive bar in the East Village. He was wearing last season's shirt. Top button undone. Sitting across from Ricky, who was loudly demanding the latest iPhone. Julian looked exhausted, staring blankly into the void. Meanwhile, 4,000 miles away in Kyoto, I was sitting in a tea house in Arashiyama. Outside the window, the maples were turning red. I held a cup of warm matcha, closed my eyes, and listened to the wind moving through the bamboo. Swish swish. In that moment, the world was finally clean.